feeling a little bit positive following those two friendly results. Well, it's not just the two friendly results, it's the manner of the performance, and it's, I guess, seeing some players in the flesh as well. The friendly against Ipswich, which I saw live, watched it the whole way through, and then the one against Wycombe, I went back. I didn't watch the whole 90 minutes, but I watched a fair bit of it, saw all the goals, probably watched about 50, 60 minutes worth of play. So I saw enough, put it that way. When lockdown was ended and they were trying to get football back on the map, as you'll know, I said I didn't see any trouble for us. I was never worried about relegation. I thought Moyes would get us safe with games to spare. And so it proved. And it wasn't because I had any inside knowledge or any foresight of it. I just thought we got some quite good players. And actually a couple of the players turned out to be a lot better than I thought they were. Namely Bowen and Souček. Both of whom, by the way, in those friendlies I think Souček had an adequate game, but he scored. By all accounts, Bowen was sizzling, sensational, as he sort of has been. And because he's got that brilliant work ethic, you get the impression you're going to get at least 7 out of 10 out of Bowen for every game. But I look at the team, and I look at the squad, or as it was, look at the two teams yesterday, and we've got some good players. I think it's easy to run ourselves down. It's easy to get, because of the financial situation that the club is in, I think it's easy to get downbeat, and I think it's easy to confuse our dissatisfaction with the owners and let that project onto what we think about the team, because actually the team ain't bad. And I think Moyes has now got some nice problems for Brentford. I'm really looking forward to seeing that game. I'm really looking forward to seeing what he wants to do. And I mean, in many respects, there's almost too much to discuss here and now, but we'll have a go anyway. I mean, looking at the Wycombe game, it was so good to see Lanzini back. It was so good to see him sharp and looking to take on his man. There was a point, possibly towards the end of the first half, he tried dribbling through midfield. He got hacked down, got straight up. I was really pleased to see him then try and take on some players again immediately afterwards. My point being, he didn't look like somebody that had a fear of getting injured, and that's what has worried me about Lanzini. I didn't particularly think that the knee injury had taken a yard of pace or taken any ability. I did think there was a confidence problem in him, and that seemed to have been largely sorted. Look, it's early days, it really is. But I listened to the review as well with Tom and Charlie. I thought Tom made an excellent point, which is about Lanzini actually having a pre-season. And technically, I don't think it is a pre-season, as I said, but I think if you sort of attach this little pre-season to the sort of little lockdown pre-season, it's a period of him training with a team and getting up to a level of fitness, which hopefully will help him add something to the team. And I thought he looked really, really sharp. And the 50, 60 minutes that I saw, maybe him, maybe Bowen, they look like our best players. And that's got to be a really, really good thing. The makeup of the team to play Brentford is going to be really interesting. And I still think our problems persist at fullback, because we can see that over the two games. Look at the fact he was playing Connor Coventry at right back. Now, obviously, where was Ryan Fredericks? I don't know. Assume he's got a knock. No Diop. Okay, I guess the same again. Declan Rice, we know he's been picked for Gareth Southgate's England squad. Not that should have kept him out of the game today, of course. So maybe the composition of the teams might have been slightly different. But I think there was a lot to look forward to. And I don't want to overly dismiss it by saying, it was only Ipswich and it was only Wycombe, because yes, they were poor. Because actually, it wasn't very long ago at all we were playing some pretty good established Premier League teams, and we looked pretty damn good. I mentioned in the review yesterday about Sebastian Haller, and I don't think I will ever warm to his languid approach to the game. But he is bright as a button. He finds space so well in the box, and despite a couple of errant attempts earlier on in the game, he's a finisher, and he's a good finisher, and he's got an awful lot to offer West Ham. If we can get something from him, that'd be a real bonus. But then I look over at the other game, Wycombe, and I see Mikel Antonio playing just in a barnstorming fashion. He looks like he's going to start the season in exactly the same way that he finished it. But again, good problems to have. I certainly felt at the end of last season, when David Moyes had his bench there, I looked at it and I thought, okay, on paper he has some good players there. that could come off the bench and do something. But actually, it's very different to them looking like good players on paper and actually feeling that they can come off the bench and do something. I think Yarmolenko, it would be fair to say, was the one that you thought could come off the bench and really impact the game. But now I look and I think, actually, I can see us getting to a point whereby when we start the season, there will be a number of players on that bench absolutely chomping at the bit to get on. I watched the game against Ipswich and I watched how Diangana played. And for those of you that didn't listen to that review, I thought up until the point he got his assist, he was showing so much endeavour that even that work rate would make himself attractive to Moyes. As I mentioned, Paulo Fornals playing in front of whoever the left back may be offers some form of protection. Well, I think Diangana can offer that form of protection, but also he creates the technical ability and the pace and an outlet to stay wide. And he really did that. And I thought he was showing a lot of endeavour. And then he came up and he popped up with a couple of assists. He started carrying the ball forward. He started really doing some dribbling, taking the ball into contact, looking to beat his man. And it was something when I looked at Felipe Anderson, I wasn't seeing. You'd see Felipe Anderson travel with the ball a little bit. And at the point where he had to win a duel. At the point where there was a defender there that he had to beat, either flick it past him, go round him, whatever, do a trick. He'd just sort of flick it off to the side and try and give it to somebody else and whatever, play a 1-2. Not that there's anything wrong with playing a 1-2, but I didn't ever feel that he had the confidence to beat his man. Now, a lot of people will say, well, Anderson is a confidence player. Well, that's all well and good, but it ain't no good to us if he's never confident. And he doesn't ever seem to be confident. How long are we going to try and work at it? I don't think the coaches are there slagging Anderson off. I'm sure they're trying to give him confidence. I'm sure they're telling him he's good. I bet when he scores a screamer in training, he's getting the applause, he's getting the praise. So I don't think they're trying to drain his confidence, but maybe it's just not happening. And I look at it, and I looked at the two teams, and I thought Fornals looked like he was well involved in the game as well. I really struggled with those two performances to see a situation where Felipe Anderson could overly feature for West Ham. And I say overly feature for West Ham, I look at the Brentford game coming up next. Make no mistake about it, David Moyes will make lots of subs. And we won't see the same huge amount of players. You can't get two squads into there. So you may well find Fornals and Lanzini plays. You may find Haller and Antonio plays. One of them will start, one will be a sub. Cresswell and Masuaku might both play. You get where I'm coming from here. I'm really struggling to see where Felipe Anderson will necessarily feature against Brentford. I mean, if he starts him, I will think that Moyes is really, giving one last throw at the dice to try and make it work. But I just can't see how it can. But I look at the team and I don't think we need that much. I'm not going to go over the fullback situation again. That's an issue. But actually, I look at the attacking players, and particularly when we get linked with with Eze and all sorts of other wide players and players that might bring some attacking flair to the team. And I think we've got lots of it. I know we've got plenty of good players. And I'm not surprised Moyes is just looking to bring in a couple of defenders, because it looks like actually that might be all we need. Oh, we need to challenge for Europe? No, but perhaps all we need to be a half decent Premier League team. Because when you start to make up the team in your head, it is a good team, plus substitutions as well. And Brentford's going to be quite telling, because Brentford will be gutted. Brentford was so close to getting to the Premier League, and as of now, recording this video, right, which is what, 3 hours after the game, 4 hours after the game, Brentford haven't sold anyone. So they're going with that same squad. They're going with those with Watkins and Rico and all these players that play so well for them. And whilst we will look at it and we'll say, yeah, that's a pre-season friendly, they're going to be really up for it. They're going to be really up for it. So I think it'll be a good test. But I do think we've got a lot of very, very good players. And, I mean, looking at this, just look at the team again. That Elise, well, I've never seen him before. He looked pretty damn good, I've got to say. Yarmolenko, we've spoken about him, looked good. Wilshire's a funny one, because whilst Wilshere got better as the game went on, as you would have heard me talk about in the review, again, I can't really see a future for him. I can't see Moyes being desperate to bring him off the bench. I think if we get this pre-season done, let's say David Moyes does start with Fornals in the middle. I think there will be a point in the game where I think I really want to get Lanzini on. Let's say he starts with Haller. There'll be a point where he says I really want to get Antonio on, and so on and so forth. I can't really see that happening with Jack Wilshere, so I wonder if Jack Wilshere's just going for the motions. I wonder how many of these players are just playing. Of course, didn't see Snodgrass either. Just thought about that. I wonder how many of these players are playing to put them in the shop window. And I don't think that'll go on for long, because at some point he needs to get the shape of his team. So the further we go on in this pre-season, the closer we'll get to David Moyes' starting first team, which I don't think will differ hugely from what we finished the season with. In fact, do not rule out the prospect of it being exactly the same unless we buy a left-back, unless we buy a centre-back, something like that. I think sometimes you get a sort of a confirmation of what you think anyway. And I think David Moyes probably knows Jack Wilshere's a talented player, but he probably looked at it and thought, no, he's not for me. I sense with David Moyes there's a mistrust of Fabian Balbuena, and I get the impression he would have looked at Ipswich game and thought, yeah, that's what I thought. He's not for me. No wonder he's looking at Duffy, if the rumour of that is true. The other thing I just wanted to touch on as well was the game itself, in terms of Ipswich streaming it. And it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. I mean, I didn't actually begrudge paying them the tenner, to be fair, because I just think they're struggling that much. Would I feel that way if I had to pay a tenner for every West Ham game? Well, I would imagine if you've already got the season ticket, they should be doing something to offer you that anyway. But I look at it and do wonder if there is a little model there for clubs to do something, just for the games that aren't covered by Sky or BT or Amazon. Because the Ipswich game was a lot better quality than the Wycombe game on YouTube, where there were no replays. It seemed more or less one camera angle, or when they did, it was almost like it was one or two cameras, and he was actually manually zooming in and zooming out. Whereas on the Ipswich game, they had cut scenes, and they were able to cut, and the commentary was decent. And actually, that level of broadcasting, I'm quite happy to pay for. To know that that's being done. You get the Sky, you get all the BT, you get and that's absolutely fine. But if it's a way for clubs to bring in a revenue stream, then I'm all for it, to be honest with you. I think we should let clubs try and bring in a little bit of money. I didn't blame Ipswich for doing that whatsoever. I think they made 13 grand off of that. Not a fortune, but bearing in mind there's no money coming through the turnstiles. I can't blame them for that at all. In terms of the team, no Fabianski, of course, was there. No French. There were a few. There were a few missing. But I think if you look at the hunger, you look at the fitness, you look at the endeavour, and also the quality of some of these players that we've got. If Lanzini can start performing again, that's like a new player for us. I think a little while ago, if you'd have asked me last week about selling Lanzini, I think I probably would have done. Now I'm not so sure. It's got me questioning it, I say about confirmation, Felipe Anderson, I think I still want him. I still want him to go. But it is an area of strength for us when you see Diangana playing like that. When you saw, there was a point where Yarmolenko and Diangana switched wings as well. I know Fornals not a winger, but Fornals can play. You see Lanzini drifting left as well. When Bowen's also left-footed, there are options there, and I just wonder how detrimental it is for the squad to have a sulky Felipe Anderson around. Not that I necessarily think we will have the choice. It's not like there's a queue of people waiting there to take him, but he did. He didn't look hugely interested. And I'll tell you why it stood out. Because there are a hell of a lot of players in both games who looked very fit, very motivated, and very interested indeed.